Welcome back to the Modern Old School Training Podcast. I'm Aaron King, and joining me today is one of my good friends, Jordan Palmer, coach of the Elite 11, among many other things. Today we're going to just be talking about a lot of what's been going on lately, which has been high profile, the draft, and, dude, some heck of a week.
Yeah, it has.
So, just for context, let's talk about, I guess, QB Summit and kind of what you're doing there, what the whole premise is. We got a lot of young developing athletes, either through the podcast, through the training programs, through the app, and then, of course, Texas Ages football and various publications. So there's a lot of guys that can get a lot of value from what y'all do.
Yeah. I think, as I address guys who are in a stage of their career where they're trying to take a step, that's where I can be most helpful. Yeah. There's a ton of people. I get a chance to work with some of the top high school, some of the top college, and some of the top NFL quarterbacks. And for me, it's less about working with the best guys. It's more about trying to help guys take a step. So the three areas where I find myself most valuable is the three times when guys are really trying to move forward with their career. So the first one early on is guys who are trying to either become the starter in high school, whether that's entering into high school from middle school when they're a freshman or whatever, or they're trying to start just their senior year and just have a great senior year, and that's it. And they're not going to play after college. They want to start as a senior. The second time I can be really helpful is guys that are transitioning from high school to college. And then the third is when guys are transitioning from the college to the NFL and the draft process. And so I just, as a coach, I would be crazy to think that I can help anybody. I'd be crazy to think that I can only help one person based off my experience. So for me, it's trying to position myself in a time when I can be most valuable to the person that I'm training. And so for me, it's that high school to college, and then that college to pro. That kind of phase of their career is when I can be most purposeful with my time, most valuable, and the information that I've taken from other folks and that I'm repurposing and giving to guys, that's when it can create the most value.
I think that's the cool thing about just coaching is packaging. There's a book, a little small coffee table book that is real popular in the design community. It's called Steal Like an Artist. And it's just basically taking all the best stuff and then repackaging it. And then the next generation takes the best stuff of that and then repackages it again. And we just get smarter and smarter as you get more experience. So if anyone has no clue what just happened in the draft, Jordan had three awesome quarterbacks in college, two of which went 3 and 7. 3 and 7. So Sam Darnold went from USC to the Jets, number 3 overall, and then Josh Allen 7 to the Bills. I had the opportunity to speak with John Brinkus the other day about some of the science behind these guys, but you got to get to know them on a personal level. And I think what's cool is that these are guys you know in high school and now top 10 picks.
Yeah.
So it's beyond just technique. It's the personality, the quality of the guy, and so much more than that. And if you're going to be investing as a franchise in a guy like that, you got to know that you're getting a good dude that can come in and lead this team. So can you touch a little bit on what it takes to be from a person standpoint, just a good quarterback?
Yeah, it's super hard. I mean, there's so you're talking about the most complex position in all of sports.
Yeah.
That has the most responsibility, and I'll give you an example. Let's just put this in context, okay? So an NFL quarterback is out on the field, he looks to the sideline, and he's got a headset on, and the coaches will, at 15 seconds left on the shot clock, the coach cuts that off, right? Or the league cuts that off. So you only have until 15 seconds left. And you may get a play call that's H set to gun, spread right H, hot tool, China drive, F read, alert, Mustang, dragon on a white 1. A lot of stuff happening there.
Yeah.
I didn't make that up. I can say it again. H set to gun, spread right H, hot tool, China drive, F read, alert, Mustang, dragon on a white 1. And so that's a lot of information that you have to take, tell 10 other people, then get to the line of scrimmage, then decipher what the coverage is. And depending on what I just said is 2 plays, which is really common. It's a pass and a pass, but it's also based off of pressure and allocation and what side it's coming from. And so you have to decipher all that information. Odds are one of these idiots is going to be like, wait, what is it? Right. And so you have to tell that person. And then 15 seconds cuts off, and then you have to execute the play. And so this is a really complex sport. So for me, the secret sauce is simplifying the game into things like we only play the game 2 ways. on platform when the quarterback's in the pocket, or off platform when the quarterback's moving around. We only throw 3 throws. We drive it, we layer it, and we throw the ball with touch. And there's only 2 coverages, man or zone. Now, there's a lot of different variations of man. There's a lot of variations of zone. But the more I can boil it down and simplify it, then the easier it is for me to take amazing pieces of information that I've gotten from great coaches, great players, terrible coaches, terrible players, and I can take that and figure out what's really going to work for that player and take it in a way where they can actually digest it, and then the output is exactly what they're looking for. So the way that I've learned to do that is I take the approach of a physician. So I want to give you a diagnosis, but I have to also give you a prescription of what you should take moving forward. So if you're really sick, Aaron, and you go to the doctor and he says, you know what, you got the flu, but he doesn't give you a Z-Pack, and I'm not even like a drug guy, I take all natural and all that, whatever, but like, if he tells you have the flu and doesn't give you anything, he or she tells you have the flu, but they don't give anything to you, it's kind of irrelevant. It's like, great, I got the flu, I'm still screwed. Yeah. So for me, I want to be able to say, here's a diagnosis of where you're at physically, mentally, and emotionally. And here's the prescription for you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the value that I have is, I was better than anybody how terrible I was. I was a 6th-round pick. I had 1 scholarship offer, all that stuff. But my older brother, Carson Palmer, was the number 1 pick, highest recruited kid in the country, won the Heisman, and, was the number 1 pick in the draft. And so for me, I have both vantage points over what it really actually takes. Mm-hmm. And what I think it actually takes is simplifying the game. Yeah. So for me, working with a lot of these top quarterbacks, whether it's, Blake Bortles of the world, Christian Hackenberg, Deshaun Watson, this year, Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, it really, the secret sauce is simplifying things for them, because it's incredibly easy to get overwhelmed. And I think if you're a speed coach, or you're a strength and conditioning coach, or you're a position coach of any position, simplifying the game is where you can separate yourself from other coaches, because the reality is that all of these sports are complex. Even if you're on an 8th grade girls club volleyball team and you're coaching outside hitters, that's still a very specific thing, where when that girl is playing in the game, there's a lot of things happening on. So how do you just give her 1, 2, or 3 things to think about that will allow her to kind of set what her goal is for each play, each period of time, or each game, or each season? So that she can actually measure where she's at, but also have a prescription of how she's going to get better. And whatever your sport is, whatever your position is, I just think it's invaluable.
Yeah, no, that's extremely valuable. Not a lot of coaches or even just spectators really understand like how to dissect that stuff and prescribe it properly. So what are you guys doing if anyone wants to find out more about just QB Summit? You have camps coming up. Is there something they can look at? Is QBSummit.com? Is it?
Yeah, QBSummit.com and QB Summit on Instagram, or Jordan Palmer on Instagram. For me, it's this is not how I feed my family. This is something I do for fun. I love it. It is a business, but for me, it's really about helping guys take that step. Yeah. And I specifically coach quarterbacks, and I have some guys that like started their senior year in high school and aren't going to sniff college, and I'm like literally as proud of the development that they had and the potential that they reached as I am about what happened 2 nights ago, the NFL draft, Sam Darnold, number 3 overall with the Jets. I'm just telling you, I have some guys that I'm just like that geeked up about. And any coaches who are watching this, you know what I'm talking about. It might be the dude sophomore shot putter who PR'd in the event. And it's like, that's everything.
It's all about maximizing. You just want to know that you took it to max. Yeah. I mean, there was a period where I was done, and then I gave it a second shot. If I did not give it that second shot, which, I got to a certain point, played in the UFL for 2 years, and career over, concussions. And I didn't know my career was over yet, but I just knew I was in Scottsdale, seeing black spots everywhere, having a migraine literally around the clock, and went out and snapped one day and could not see straight. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't physically do this anymore. I got a call from the Cleveland Browns that week. It was like week 14. And I actually told my agent, I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I cannot snap. And you know how you're pursuing it. You're giving everything you got. But knowing that, like, like I'm totally cool with knowing, but had I not gotten to that point, I would have been like, what if, or like,
it really is about reaching their potential, right?
Yeah.
It's not everybody's potential is to make it to the pinnacle or NFL, right? If we're talking football. So I have a really clearly defined purpose in life, and you and I have been friends a long time. I don't even know if you know this, but when I had a career where I played for a while, and then I got cut after the lockout. So I was kind of done, and then I broke my ankle, and I had 2 surgeries, and so I was done. And to your point, I kept at it, and I got another opportunity. But for me, I went on a soul searching mission, and I was really like overwhelmed by this idea of trying to find my purpose in life. And I was challenged by somebody who's a life coach, to say, so to speak. And he had said, if you can't clearly define your purpose in 25 words or less, then it's not clear to you, and you will always chase things until you can clearly define what your purpose is. So I can definitively say that my purpose in life is to use my experiences on and off the field to help entrepreneurs maximize their opportunities on and off the field. And I only train quarterbacks that identify themselves as entrepreneurs. Okay. And I have some high school kids. They don't have to get entrepreneur tattooed on their arm. But if you're in high school, college, or pro, and you're really actually treating your football career, your quarterback career, as your business, it's not even about money. If this is the thing that's going to allow you to get to the next level, that's going to open up more doors, I can be really helpful. And if it's a rich kid who doesn't want it as bad as his dad wants it, I'd pass on that all day long. Yeah. It actually happens pretty consistently. And so really the purpose behind it is figuring out how you can maximize your opportunities. I definitely experienced that as a coach, and I think quarterbacks that have done that are guys who've treated that as a business and said, hey, look, this is my opportunity to open up more doors. Even if that's just, I'm going to go to Villanova and play football, and they barely have a team, that's a better opportunity than not. Yeah. And so for me, I just really try and push guys down that path. And when guys are really open to actually trying to figure out what their potential is and go and reach it, I do have really good tools for those guys. But the ones that aren't, I'm really quick to kind of like cut bait and say, you know what, this isn't a fit, and maybe I can find somebody else for you, because you have to really actually have that inner desire to deal with 2 things that I think are inevitable. I think every athlete at some point reaches the inevitability of success and adversity. Those 2 things are going to strike you. And adversity can be, 3 bad throws in practice. No one was watching, but it's 3 bad throws in a row. And adversity can be Deshaun Watson tearing his ACL in practice last year.
Yeah.
Success can be 3 good throws in a row in practice where you feel good about yourself. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching. It's just you know what you're doing. Or success can be Super Bowl MVP. Mm-hmm. And so your ability to deal with the inevitability of those 2 things that are always going to strike you is essentially how good you are. So I look at Tom Brady, for example. So Tom Brady, he entered in the NFL. He sat for a while, 6th-round pick, well documented. And he got a chance to go in. Bledsoe got hurt, and he won a Super Bowl. The next year, he came back and won another Super Bowl. He handled success really, really, really well. And then I can think of a season years later when Gronk was hurt, surgeries all offseason. Aaron Hernandez killed people, so he was in jail and prison for the rest of his life. And Wes Welker got traded away, and they didn't really have a running back that anybody could name. And Brady just kind of like barely lost in the AFC Championship game. Handled adversity really, really well. Mm-hmm. And I can think of 100,000 other examples. But in essence, your ability to deal with success and adversity is essentially how good you are. Now, you may be really good at handling adversity as an athlete or a coach, or you may be really good at handling success. But if you can't hold those 2 things in tension, the only thing I can guarantee you is you're not going to be that good. So I start my camps off with this. I tell quarterbacks, when you're a quarterback, you sign up for everything. So any young quarterbacks or any coaches that coach quarterbacks, steal this line. When you're a quarterback, you sign up for everything. Aaron, you stood on the sideline. You were the guy that I stood next to on the sideline after interceptions. Mm-hmm. Because 1, you loved me, and 2, you kept it real. Mm-hmm. Too real sometimes. Yeah. But you sign up for all of it.
Yeah.
You sign up for all of the success and the amazing things that happen, and you sign up for all the bad stuff too. And if you can get really good at handling success and adversity, you're going to be better positioned to handle all the other stuff that's going to come. And, 2 nights ago, so I landed here. Thursday night was the draft, right? First round of the draft. I land Wednesday night. I'm training Sam Darnold and Josh Allen. Josh Allen, tweets get released about him when he was 15 years old saying inappropriate things on Twitter. 15-year-old kid. He's from a town of 2,700 people, 95% Hispanic, and he's got some bad tweets that he wrote. He really retweeted. It was like lines from rap songs, and it was blown out of proportion. But it was still serious. And I literally gave him that story. Like, listen, bro, you signed up for all this. If you were a corner, it just probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. You're a quarterback. So it's when I say massive deal, I mean like Google it. I don't know. It was a massive deal.
Yeah.
So
all
seventh
anyone
pick in
wants
the
to talk
draft.
about. Yeah.
They traded away a lot of people to get to him. But you sign up for all of it. You sign up for tweets, people reading tweets that you wrote when you were 15. You sign up for all of the bad things that come, all of the adversity. You sign up for the terrible coach that you hate. You sign up for all the stuff your dad says to you on the way home. You sign up for all of it. You also sign up for the good stuff too. And this last season in the NFL, we saw some people who overcame adversity. Nick Foles, homeboy from Minnesota.
Case Keenum. He's a Texas guy. Both of those guys are Texans.
You sign up for that stuff too. And as soon as quarterbacks start to lose their grasp on what they signed up for, they start to get foggy lenses and they think that everything that's blurry should be seen clearly. And it's not the coach's fault. It's not the circumstantial fault. It's your fault.
Yeah, you've seen so many cases of that where there are guys that only signed up for the good. Yeah. And, I mean, there's very public instances of guys in the past that have just lost their minds on camera. There's some busts, like, I don't want to name names, but we can probably think of a few right off the bat, just big-name quarterbacks that just didn't pan out. And I think that's the crazy thing about with Josh's situation is we tell guys all the time, I'm so glad I didn't have social media when I was younger.
Me too.
But we tell guys all the time at these camps, you all say the same. Every coach says it. Just be careful what you put on social, on Twitter, anything. This was blown out of proportion and crazy to see how it went down because I looked at it. I'm just thinking, like, if I was 14, 15 years old and I had Twitter or whatever. Anyway, but that's just something that kids got to be really careful about digital media today because your perception on digital versus who you are as a person in the public eye when it starts blowing up.
Well, let's do this. Let's say that Josh Allen, a lot of people thought he was going to be the number one pick.
Right.
Most of the reports leading up to the draft were, is it Baker or is it Josh Allen? Now, I cannot definitively say if it had any effect on it. But let's say that Cleveland was a coin flip between Baker Mayfield with the number one pick or Josh Allen with the number one pick. Let's say it was a coin flip. Josh ended up going 7. The difference is $6 million.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
I don't think that's what happened.
Right. But if it was a coin flip.
But the difference is $6 million.
Yeah.
6.2.
Little things, man, when it comes down to splitting
15.
hairs.
He's 15 years old.
15 years old.
So I look at that. The other thing I think is good for people to think about is, I really take an approach of that athletes are triple threats, the best athletes. So, for folks who train quarterbacks, this is great, but this is any position, any sport now, either gender, whatever it is. With athletes, I think the best athletes, and you can kind of like come up with your own hypothesis over like what the common denominator is between great athletes and good athletes or good athletes and bad athletes, whatever. But I really do think it comes down to your ability to help athletes become a triple threat. So what I mean by triple threat is mentally, physically, and emotionally. And on that, the mental side of it is, can you help an athlete get to self-correction? Can you help an athlete get to a point where they actually know how to fix themselves? So from the mechanic that you're teaching, can they fix themselves? Physically, do they know what to put in their body? from supplements to nutrition. Physically, do they know what type of training is best for them? Do they know if they're inflexible? Do they know if they need more T-spine mobility? Do they know if their hamstrings are tight? So I really think any athlete, their ability to understand on the physical side, again, triple threat, 3 things. Do they understand physically how to fix themselves, what to put in their body, and how to train their body? Mentally, do they understand how to have a process for learning more? So I'm big on note taking. I'm big on saying, all right, if I'm going to be teaching and I'm on the whiteboard, you're going to write down everything. Then you're going to rewrite it and consolidate. Then you're going to create a learn and a know list. Learn meaning this isn't automatic for me. I'm still learning it. Know meaning quiz me anytime I know this. What's your full name?
Aaron Robert King.
Right? No hesitation. You know exactly what that is. You didn't have to say or You didn't accidentally switch the Robert and the Aaron and go, well, wait, I mean, what? No, it's definitive. You know exactly what it is. So that's a know list. So am I learning this or do I know this? So the first thing on the mental side of it is like, do they actually know how to process information? It's different for each sport. Second is on the mental side of it is, do they actually know the areas where they actually need to know more? Deep, I get it. But do you know how far away you are from really understanding what it is that you need to understand? So there's the physical, the mental, and then the last piece is the emotional. How do you lead? How do you treat people? How do you care about people? How do you handle success and adversity? Mm-hmm. How do you self-generate confidence, which I think is the most important trait in an athlete? How do you self-generate confidence? And I've been in a situation, and I will not name names, but I've been in a situation where I realized after enough time with an athlete where I realized that I was the main person who is contributing to their confidence. My opinion of them and where they were was the source of them generating confidence. It's a danger zone. You have to be able to self-generate confidence, right? Thomas the Train saying, I think I can, that came from Thomas the Train. Mm-hmm. It wasn't from anybody else, right? And so we can have our kids watch Thomas the Train, but he or she has to be able to self-generate. So the physical, the mental, and the emotional side, any coach watching this, any trainer watching this, I would really challenge you. Are you pouring into your athletes on the physical, the mental, and the emotional side? Because if physically they're money and they understand all of those things that I said, what to put in their body, how to train their body, and how to fix themselves, but they don't do one or two of the other two, then I'm just promising you that they're not that good. They're just not going to reach their potential. Whatever their potential was supposed to be, they're just not going to reach it.
There's different ways to coach guys. There's I forget his name, but this doctor has really broken down psychologically of how to actually train certain personality traits. Because you'll have coaches that he's a player's coach, or he's a screamer, or he's intense, and that'll work for some guys, but then you're not for everyone. And so it's hard for a coach to say or I should say it's more of it's almost the enlightened coach, or someone that's very, very diversified in their approach to the team, so you don't favor guys or act like you're being soft on a guy, but treating everyone fairly, not equally. And you see it a lot at the high school level. It's just hard, especially when you have kids from different backgrounds, different motivational levels. And that's the big thing is, especially when I work with mostly specialists. We'll get some skill guys and we're just on speed, but really they're just trying to get to the one-on-ones. But when I deal with the specialist guys, it's like golf. And we're really trying to break down the technique. And when that technique it's not even the technique that breaks down. If they mess up, then it's just like they forget how to snap. And the confidence is really hard to build up. And each guy has a different way to coach. Some guys want to be thrown back in the fire and they respond. Some guys, if you throw them back in the fire, which don't get me wrong, if you're trying to go to the next level, you don't really have an option but get thrown back in the fire. But some of these younger guys that we work with at a camp, as soon as they screw up under pressure and you throw them back out there, it just gets worse from there. And then you have to kind of rebuild them up. And then in the off season, find a way to, like you said, I mean, that's probably the most critical element is get guys to that point of self-confidence. And that carries over so much into business as well. Mm-hmm. Being confident to go back in a meeting after.
I'll tell you, with a father of a 2-year-old and another one on the way, it's important in fatherhood too.
Yeah.
Nothing prepares you for it. You got to believe that you're doing things the right way.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a challenge. We just got a few more minutes. I really like when you touched on the passion or the motivation behind being a QB, while we're here, both of us both entrepreneurs right now, but have had our athletic journey. The hardest thing I see with a lot of guys, and I dealt with for a long time, is finding that next passion and just transitioning kind of that drive, saying, when I was going to the gym, going to skill practice or whatever, I know I'm training for that opportunity to play in the NFL. In business, it's like sometimes you're just, you don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
One, finding a passion. Once you find that passion, it makes it easier. But what are some things when you were going through that purpose journey, like really could be a few pointers of saying, here's what I did to identify what I'm passionate about. That's not just being a quarterback, but being so much more than that.
Yeah, I'll be transparent. I mean, I have a 2.5-year-old son named Ford, and he's the man. But he, I have one goal for him. My goal is for him to figure out what he's great at and what he's most passionate about. And the faster I can align those two things, the faster everyone can get out of the way, and then he can go and accomplish what he was born to accomplish. And I can sit here. I'm a quarterback coach, and I love quarterbacks, and I would love to play football, but I can honestly tell you, I don't care what it is, right? And so for me, everything's about purpose. And my purpose is to use my experiences on and off the field to help entrepreneurs maximize their opportunities on and off the field. So for me, I've passed on a bunch of opportunities to make a lot of money and do this like commercial real estate or private investment banking boutiques or whatever it is. But my purpose in life is to not make as much money as I possibly can. My purpose is what I just said. And so I think the faster you can align with your purpose, and one of the ways that I was able to find that is what my spiritual gifts are. My two spiritual gifts personally are teaching and connecting. And so I try and put myself in a position to teach and connect as much as possible. And when I get outside of that, I'm just not as productive, I'm not as good, and I'm not as fulfilled. And the other night, two of my guys went drafted, and they got drafted 3rd overall and 7th overall. It was amazing. It was really cool, and the cameras and all that stuff. It was really fun. But the reality is, my third guy was training, Kyle Allen, just signed free agent deal with the Carolina Panthers, and I'm pretty jacked because of that opportunity. So it's less pretty jacked, meaning just as jacked. And because I know what Kyle can do when he gets to that situation. So for me, it's really about helping guys to understand what their purpose is and to go and give them the tools to fulfill that. And when you start to do that, decisions become easier.
Man.
Distractions look like distractions, and money feels like a thing, not money. And it just has been a really clear pathway for me, and it's something I've worked really hard to really adopt that perception on life, and it has not fooled me yet. It, hasn't taken me the wrong course yet, and I'm only 33, but I'm going to continue on that path.
Awesome, yeah, I'm with you, man. It takes a long time to really dial in on that. I mean, it takes a long time to figure it out. I didn't know for a long time what the hell I wanted to do.
And I just believe that unless I completely bombard you with those thoughts and give you enough time to actually retain those things, because I feel like my 3 guys over the course of 3 months actually know exactly what their purpose is in life, and I really challenged them.
That's awesome. Well, great, man. Well, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
This has been great.
Is awesome, man.
I hope we do more stuff like this. In general, I just want to have more thoughtful things, and we'll expand the format over time. But this is a good hybrid. We could talk forever. We'll keep it short for today, relatively. But yeah, I'll link all your stuff in the description, so we'll have all that stuff. QB Summit. Definitely got a lot more going on in the quarterbacks. A lot of cool stuff. Anything else you want to shout out, or is that good?
No, man, it's been fun. I just challenge anybody who's coaching athletes to figure out how you can help them mentally, physically, and emotionally, and also think about confidence. I believe confidence is the most important trait in an athlete. Also a business person, also a husband, also a father. Confidence is the most important trait. I didn't really understand what confidence was until my 3rd year in the NFL. I don't know if I ever told you that, but I played through my whole college career without really being confident in what I was doing. I was letting other people's perception of what I was doing generate my confidence, which was not self-generated. And my 3rd year in the NFL, I figured out how to self-generate confidence, and it changed who I was as a player. And so
And as a coach.
And as a coach, for sure. I mean, I'm coaching players who are, when they're in high school, are better than I was, let alone the college guys I train for the draft. And those guys like Sam Darnold, I mean, kidding me? Like he's 2 years ago, he was better than I ever was. So yeah, it does take confidence. It's not, I don't coach these guys because I played in the league. There's a million guys that played in the league, and most of them can't coach. For me, it's really understanding that confidence is the most important trait, and I challenge my athletes to really look at it as a muscle and try and put them in a position to develop it just like they would a hamstring, just like they would a bicep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, that's it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, tune in next time. We'll talk more.
Thanks, man.
All right.